Hello Empowa community. So yesterday, as many of you would have seen, we had our AMA to discuss some feedback from on-the-ground projects. Sadly, due to some technical issues, that wasn't recorded, and some of you in the community had a really good idea of doing a quick summary of what was discussed. So yesterday's AMA was really focused on feedback on both Mozambique and Nigeria, and a little bit of feedback on our development work. We're actually planning to have another AMA in maybe a week to maybe 3 weeks, where we discuss some developments around how we will be funding Maraza, what that means for you as EMP holders, and how we plan to add value to the token. But yesterday's AMA was really focused on what's happening on the ground, and in particular what's been happening in Beira. So Beira, which was our first development of 35 homes enabled by the World Mobile Seed NFT. For those of you who have the NFT, that NFT or the founder community NFT, you may have gone in over the course of the last week to check the Explorer, which is a new piece of functionality we took live. And that Explorer allowed you to see how that loan has been performing. Fortunately, it's all on track. We've actually been blown away by how successful that development has been. Yes, we're still early into the project, but what we've noticed is 96% of the tenants have been making their payments on time. That 4% that's late, we obviously have now caught up, and a lot of it has been due to the time of year. What's most important and most excited was that 5% of the equity has already been paid back. Now, that's not something we expected. We expected our community to be slow to pay back that equity, as they had to absorb the cost of moving, the costs that come with that time of year. It's the summer break for many people in the southern hemisphere, and so to already have, on average, our tenants pay back 5% of the equity owed really goes to show that they are excited to own their homes, they're committed to owning their homes, and obviously gives us a bit of certainty around how the loans are performing. We spoke a little bit about the green, orange, and red light scoring system. So just a reminder, the loan that we issue is with the service partner on the ground. That means that they're responsible for paying it back, and ensures that we as Empowa contract with one other legal entity, and they then can use their infrastructure and people on the ground to chase up with tenants and make sure that all their payments are on track. Loans that are scored a green mean that the service provider is up to date with their payments, and the data that we're capturing on the ground leads us to believe that the loan is performing well. So while there may be some tenants who are late in their payment, or maybe some who are in default, we looked at the project as a whole. We've looked at the amount of equity that's already been paid back, and we look at the waiting list for the homes, and we've determined that they're within a safe, acceptable level, that the loan is still performing well. Orange loans are loans where it is true that the service provider has still made all their payments, but that on-the-ground data that we're seeing has given us reason for concern. To use an extreme example to illustrate the point, if we had been in a position where 5 years into the loan, we were seeing 50% default in payment, and maybe zero equity repaid by the tenants, we would mark that loan as orange, even though the service partner is paying their payments each month. Logic dictates that doesn't seem sustainable. And red loans are where the service partner has missed a payment, and we're working with them to understand how we get them back on track. And that's really important. This kind of extra commentary and understanding needs to accompany the ultimate on-chain data, because on-chain data is useful, but it can't give you all that nuance. As an example, right now, Beira has been hit by a tropical storm. Fortunately, our houses are standing up to the test. We actually will be taking a post maybe later today or on Monday, where we showcase how the houses look and how the properties look and how well they've drained. But it's been a real test and a real example of how important climate smart construction is. There are other parts of Beira, and I think we may have pictures of those too, that have been completely flooded due to the rains. And we're very grateful that our climate smart construction and drainage is standing up to the test and showing the value of having a quality built home that factors in the natural disasters that often hit the area. So after we spoke about Beira and how that's been performing, we touched briefly on Maraza. Like I said, there'll be some more details around how we plan to fund that phase one of that development. For those who don't recall, Maraza is the development also within Mozambique. It's focused on 25,000 homes. That is a 10 to 15 year project. But we obviously want to get phase one done. We will be sharing again a link to Google Maps where you can actually see that the first phase, the land has already been prepared for the construction. So it's flattened, raised, servitudes are in, which is important, obviously. And so that's really exciting to see developments there. Then we moved on to Nigeria. There again, there's been a big update in that that's our next market to launch in. Nigeria by 2050 is expected to have more people living there than the United States. It's a very fast-growing country with a very young population and a very dysfunctional affordable housing market. So being able to partner with TAHCo, which is the local service partner that we have on the ground, to explore how we can deliver housing there and tap into the Nigerian market is obviously exciting for us as a project. That's again something we're hoping to have at least started with a small pilot project within the first half of this year. Finally, during the AMA, we gave updates on Empowa Pay, which is the solution that we're building in partnership with Mercy Core Ventures to allow us to record payments on chain, to make our reporting far closer to real time, to gain all the efficiencies of being able to do on-chain reporting. That tool is already at a point where it's writing data to testnet, so obviously very close to being able to go live. We're really excited to do a demo video of that, which should also come out in the next week or two. And that is a big step for us to be able to start to leverage the Cardano blockchain in a way that gives us transparency, that gives us real-time data, real-time auditable data, and really starts to create massive cost efficiencies. So the fact that we're at a point where we're now writing to testnet is obviously very exciting. I think that was most of what was covered. There was a question from the community around our financial health, being a bear market. Of course, the fact that we're currently going through a crypto winter is of course not a positive for the project, but we're well capitalized and confident that we can continue to deliver what we need to get us to a point where we can start to be revenue generating and profitable. So it's of course had its impact, but we still feel like we're in good financial health and able to continue to do this work and get us to a point where the projects we roll out will pay enough to support the team. We are being incredibly cautious with how we spend our funds. Everything from Glenn and I taking the bus to Paris to attend a conference as opposed to taking the train or flying because that was more affordable, sharing a room, all the usual startup stuff, and really counting our cents and dollars and making sure that we stretch the money for as long as possible, because no one can tell you when this bear market will end and we'll go back to the good old days of bull markets and all-time highs. So that's a quick update on what was discussed in the AMA. Again, I'm sorry that the whole Twitter space was not recorded. We'll obviously make sure we do that next time. Hopefully this recap's been useful, and if there are any questions, feel free to reach out on Telegram or Discord and we'll answer them. As I mentioned, there should be another AMA coming up in the next 2 to 3 weeks when we have finalized the details around Maraza, how that will be funded, and also some updates for EMP token holders and value adds. So if you have any questions, you can obviously bring them to that AMA, send them out in the meantime. But again, thank you so much for your support. There are 35 families who are now hunkered down in a house in Beira, dry, safe, all their belongings dry and safe. And that's thanks to you as a community. If this had been a year ago before we had financed those homes, who knows what their houses would have been in, what state they would have been in, flooded, damaged, etc. So again, thank you for joining our journey. We're really committed to impacting as many people as we can, building a sustainable business, and it's your support that's allowing us to do that. So everyone have a great weekend, and we will speak again soon.